Welcome back to the Deal Vault podcast. If you're a real estate investor looking to scale, secure funding, and learn from real deals, you're in the right place. I'm Greg, and together with Nate and Sarah, we'll sit down each week and break down market trends, funding strategies, real deal stories from our investors. Now, if you're ready to unlock knowledge, relationships, and capital you need, let's open the vault. Welcome back to the Deal Vault. Icebreaker. We're avid concert goers.
Yeah, I go to a lot of concerts, but
I haven't gone to as many this year, at least. Probably last year was an off year as well. Best concert that you've ever been to?
I know this may have differing opinions, but I did manage to snag tickets to the Eras tour and got to see it at Arrowhead. So that was infamously where she met or didn't meet
Who is she? Eras tour? I don't.
Taylor Swift. I mean, come on.
Tabor Smith. Got it.
So yeah, that's probably my most epic concert.
That's pretty epic. Not a huge Swiftie here. Surprise, surprise. But I'm sure she puts on a pretty good show.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I won't knock that. I'll knock a lot of other things, but
You know,
Tabor Smith can get after it. So mine would be, it's my favorite band of all time, and it made it extra cool is I was able to bring the boys when they were, I think Grammy was probably 6 or 7 and Everett was probably like 9 or 10 to see Tool, that's a difficult ticket to get. They don't tour much, and they had released their first album in like 20 something years. That was quite a spectacular show. If Tool is listening to this podcast, I'm sure that this will run across them. Put on a concert at the Sphere and you can have my money. I'll be there.
Yeah, very differing concert preferences, I would say.
Tool,
I did
Taylor
give up
Swift.
my ticket to Tool. It's not quite my jam, but that's okay. We can agree to disagree on our music preferences and appreciate each other for that. So
Yeah.
whether you're a Swiftie or preferring to go to see Tool at the Sphere, they both would, combine forces.
I'm sure she'd kill it at the Sphere. That'd be awesome. Go Sphere. Cool. Well, now that we have the really important stuff out of the way, we can get into less important things. What are we talking about today?
I think today we just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about, a couple other differing options for real estate investors, which are when is the best time to do short-term versus long-term financing, and kind of defining the differences there and just how we help our real estate investors navigate. Maybe they're thinking long-term is the best in the moment, but short-term may be the best. So yeah, I think just kind of giving some feedback and tools on how to navigate those two financing options.
I think this will probably be a little bit of an elementary episode as we talk about this stuff. In my head, having played in this space for a number of years now, I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, obviously a bridge loan makes sense here versus a DSCR or vice versa. But as we talk to borrowers regularly, it's not always obvious. Maybe they don't know what their options are, or maybe they have diverging goals on a piece of real estate, and it isn't that clear on which one is the right fit. Trick is you can't have both at the same time.
Right.
Now you can do some tailoring on each of these products to meet in the middle, so to speak, but you can't have a short-term, long-term loan. Like they don't work together.
Yeah.
But we see a lot of borrowers that want both of those and they just can't happen. Again, it does sound obvious in a lot of ways, and it is, but it can be a little bit muddy sometimes. So short-term loan, typically a 12-month bridge loan, interest only. And at the end of that 12-month term, there's a balloon. This loan doesn't exist. You will either sell the property or refinance it. That's how you get out of it. If you are not done by that, let's say 12-month period, because that's the most common, you're in default interest, like crazy high rate, and it's not because the lender wants to make a ton of money on that. That's actually the last thing they want. They just want you out of the loan.
They need to recoup their balance sheet.
Yeah, they're cleaning their balance sheet. They don't want these longer or short-term loans on their books. So realistically, that higher interest and or extension fees are just pressure to please get out of this loan, find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
But it's a 12-month loan meant to solve short-term problems.
So let's do kind of a deal scenario here, just for the investor that's out there to see if they can maybe kind of find some similarities between themselves. And, an example of a borrower that would come in that scenario and how you would kind of say, hey, if it were set up this way, this is your best path versus if it's set up this way, this is your
Yeah,
best.
so we'll go with, like, the simplest
Yeah.
scenario, you're like, "Well, yeah." You'd be surprised. So, I wanna buy a beat up property, and I wanna improve the value of that. That's like real estate investing 101.
Yeah.
Great job, go for it. You can do this, and you can make good money doing that. That piece of the transaction is a short-term bridge loan because you have a short-term problem. I'm buying a property, right? I can buy on a long-term loan, I can buy a short-term loan, but I'm gonna change this property.
Sure.
It's gonna be different in the next, let's just say, few months, certainly within 12 months. Even if you didn't have a bridge loan on it, dragging out that rehab to change the property does not serve you well. You need
Yeah.
to turn it, get it in the state that you want it in
Yeah.
so that you can either sell it for profit
Mhm.
or rent it for income.
Yeah.
One of the 2, and you wanna do that as quickly as possible. So a 12-month loan helps you get into the property, and it gives you rehab funds to make sure that you can actually get that property
Sure.
to the state that you and the lender want it in. The lender wants it in that state so you can go away, right?
Right.
Complete the loan successfully. Hey, do the refinance with them, like, that's great too, but they want you out of that loan, so they will finance the rehab costs. So that's your, like, most simple scenario where you are going to get a short-term loan. The long-term loan scenario where you're buying a property is it does not need that rehab.
Yeah.
Really simple. Great.
Right.
Congratulations. You have what we call a turnkey property.
Mhm.
You can turnkey walk in and it's rent ready. On that one, you don't need a short-term bridge loan. Where it gets a little bit muddy is I want to do a little bit of updating to this property.
Right.
That's where we say, tell me more about that, because this is where it can dictate, hey, it serves you better to go with the bridge loan versus a 30-year. Or, hey, if it's just paint, like that's actually all you want to do,
Mhm.
hey, just chew that cost. Let's get you into the right loan from the start. Because doing the bridge loan, then doing 30-year debt, the financing costs are not worth it.
Sure.
Like, just take that financing cost and apply it to the paint bucket
Mhm.
and throw it on the walls and you're good. But what I would say in those scenarios, if you're like, well, I mean, it certainly needs paint, but if to get it where you really want it, would you do more? Question mark,
Yeah.
borrower?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, the floors are like okay, and the roof's like getting close, but like I don't have the money to do that. Fair enough.
Mhm.
I'm gonna look at that and say, "Well, how are you gonna get that money? If you don't have it today, you wanna continue investing in other properties, the only way that you're getting that money is scraping it away from the income of that property or out of your personal finances."
Yeah.
That can be a slow process sometimes.
Sure.
So in that scenario where it's a little bit gray, yeah, you do wanna do some work. What we say is you probably don't have a home run of a deal here, but that's okay. We still probably should do that rehab bridge loan. Let's get all of those things done because now's the time when you can ask a lender for that money
Sure.
and they can give it to you and get it
Yeah.
where you want it to go.
Yeah, I think just making sure, again, working alongside us, we can help you identify if you do want to go that route where you're going to get short term financing and add in some rehab there instead of waiting on the property's smaller cash flows to accumulate to be able to fix it up during a turnover, is just we can help support with just what's an appropriate size budget so that you're not over inflating the scope of work and then you are underwater. So I think again, helping you kind of know your left and right limits on what is a efficient budget to where you're still able to again get the value that you want from the money that you're putting in now. But it really just, if you're looking at a property that you want to buy, again, I think the big thing is to really assess if your game plan was to rent it out, is it rent ready? right? We do also get a lot of borrowers that are buying properties that they think is rent ready. And then when the appraiser goes in, there's a lot of deferred maintenance or some damage. And they were just thinking, oh, I'll just
I'll
fix it
fund it
up.
over time.
Fix it up after I buy it with just, a couple $1,000. And usually we can get some exceptions if it's just a small amount, under $5,000. But I think there's that pause point, like you were identifying, is like, do you want to pause here and ask for the scope of work financing with the lender and get that value and use another one of our products to do kind of a BRRRR method where you're refinancing it after it's complete and you're getting it rented and you kind of were able to leverage financing now instead of waiting on that cash flow
Yeah.
or using your own money to fix it up to maybe get a higher rent. So it is important that you work within your market to get educated on what the rents are, what the property values are, finding a good deal that you can build in the scope of work, right? Because if your property is already at the top of the value for the market, it may not be the right fit to do financing for a fix and
You
flip.
just gotta do a DSCR loan and
Just
take the cash flow because it's
Yeah.
at the top of the market. So this is something that we talk about all the time with borrowers and get in there and say, okay, if you were doing the minimum because you're funding it either out of your pocket or from the scrape of your 250 to $300 a month
Mm.
net cash flow. I'm just gonna do the bare minimum.
Yeah.
I get it. Like we invest as well. Like
Mm.
I don't want to sink other money in. That's not winning in real estate.
Right.
Um, if the property can do it on its own, but it's gonna be slow, I'm gonna do the bare minimum to get it, you know, debt certainly keep it livable, treat your tenants well, like do what you absolutely must have to do. But you can do that one upgrade instead of just get the roof done, tune up your HVAC, like get those expensive things done today.
Yeah.
When you have the opportunity to get the financing to pay for that, this is the time to do that. Because once you're in the 30-year loan, you got a prepayment penalty,
Right.
right? You've got amortization where you're, oh, I'm going to refinance in 3 years. You had no pay down.
Mm.
Like it just doesn't make sense. You're resetting the amortization schedule in 3 or 4 years, which is just maybe we can do a graphic in the future of
Mm.
like how that is a really bad idea to do unless you just have massive appreciation because since you didn't do rehab, it's frankly because you just got lucky.
Right.
Maybe it's because you're smart, but you got lucky. Um, you can force the appreciation. So this is something we talk about all the time. I say if must do rehab, or like
Yeah.
I really kind of need to do this to make it to the turnkey status that I want, but I'd like to do more. If that number is 5,000 to 10,000, what what I typically will see is when we ask the question, is there something else you would do if you had the money?
Mm.
That 5 to 10,000 can go easily to 25 to 30,000.
Yeah.
In that scenario, get the bridge loan, improve the value of your property, get a little bit higher rents. And when you go to refinance it on the 30-year debt, you're going to be able to scrape enough of that away
Yeah.
where your cash left in the game is at least the same as what it was anyways, and actually probably better. And your
Mhm.
cash flow is probably the same, if not better. And you have a property that you know what it's like. You
Yeah.
got in there, you had the money to get into the walls, to do the bathroom, like whatever it was, you now know your property and you fix the things that you really knew you needed to fix. That's where the short-term financing can really be useful. And I see a lot of people are afraid to use it. Yes, it's got, let's say, 8 to 12% interest. Yeah, it's a broad range, but
Yeah.
frankly, that's what it is. That's a higher interest rate than your sixes on a 30-year, yes, but it's a different tool, and that's something it's a long conversation. If somebody's not comfortable with that, it's it's a it's a tool for a job.
Yeah.
It's short term for a reason.
For sure.
The interest rate should not be the deciding factor, and I know it is for a lot of people that haven't gotten into that and are like,
Mhm.
"Whoa, that's different." Correct. Short-term tool for a short-term problem. The 30-year debt's what really makes the income happen. If you're looking to flip a property,
Yeah.
it's kind of a
Yeah,
conversation.
this is really, like, I think, focused on the renter specific, like, rental specific, real estate investor, right? Because they may just only be thinking of the rental loans. They just want long term. They're not thinking about leveraging, equity increases or just like you said, taking advantage of a different loan product that they're maybe not as familiar with and it feels a little scary.
Yeah.
So I think again, just for the rental specific investor out there is just come to us with a conversation. We can help you kind of look at again the properties that you're kind of honing in on purchasing or and kind of run the numbers, run the market rent, the value, the scope of work, and see if it even feels like it's potentially there.
Yeah, the after repair
Yeah.
value is something that is worth bringing up. So, real simple, silly scenario is, I'm buying $150,000 property. I'm going to put $5,000 into it. That's going to improve the value of your property by $5,000.
Sure.
Like it's not going up, and that scenario doesn't spit out a high enough after repair value to do that DSCR financing where you're getting your money back. Now, 10,000 probably still not improving your value enough, but if you don't have the money, do the bridge loan anyways. Just don't expect to get massive cash out when you do your refinance. It's not that scenario,
Mm.
but you can still use that bridge loan to get the money that you didn't have anyways. You're just going to have to probably put a couple more dollars down or at least leave a couple more dollars down in the deal than if you have that really nice clean deal where you buy it for 150, you put 50 in it
Mhm.
and it's worth 275 to 300. That scenario exists out there. I can't find them. Well, people are. It's hard. It's not easy. Otherwise, everybody would do it.
Yeah.
But that scenario makes a lot of sense. It's that borderline where, 5,000 into it. It's simply not going to improve the value of the property enough. You're not going to convince an appraiser to go take that, let's just say, mid-tier property with your $5,000 worth of improvements or improvement and go use comps with the higher tier properties
Yeah.
down the street. It's just not gonna happen, even if you feel it in your heart. The
Mhm.
appraiser trying to be as objective as they can is not going to give you that,
Yeah.
and that's something that we talk about is say, "Hey, that's not gonna get you there. Is there other things that you wanna do? Let's get them now, and maybe you can go justify to that appraiser to go look at those other properties and use those as comps because now it's in that tier."
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Let's go look at your market. You know a little bit better, but we know how to crunch the numbers, pull comps,
Right.
et cetera, and show you a likely outcome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's a good point too, is like the goal really isn't I'm trying to get a bunch of cash out. If you increase the value with some of those renovation items, that's great. But I think the goal is just being able to make a transfer of a rate and term where you have been able to add in some of those additional expenses that you didn't have to put in out of pocket.
Right.
And really just ensuring we can help ensure that that would make sense. But if you were putting a bunch of your own cash into the property to do the X
It's
stuff,
stuck in
like the air conditioner and the roof, like those things, that is gonna be stuck in there, and also, like, you're not gonna get that money back, because, a lot of those items are not necessarily gonna increase the value, like, yeah, it looks good on a listing to say, "Hey, I've got a new roof and a new HVAC," but it's not a cosmetic
Yeah.
that buyers can see or
Well,
people can really renters can really see, like, they don't really care if
yeah.
you have a new roof.
Here's the deal. Like, if you put that money in, unless you
Mm,
go get appraisal and do something about it,
yeah.
i.e., sell or refinance, who cares what the value is? It's
Mm,
doing nothing for you other than, I guess, you feel good about it. You can write it on your net worth spreadsheet that you track.
yeah,
Everybody should be doing that, by the way. But it's not going to do anything. So when you get that 30-year debt and you sink more money into the property,
yeah,
congratulations. What you've done is decrease your cash on cash return significantly, and you've taken money and effectively bolted it to the walls of the property.
yeah.
And to go get that out, you gotta go do that refinance. So that let's say it did improve the value of the property.
Mm,
So what?
yeah,
Unless you're in a position to refinance it, where the bridge loan makes it so that, frankly, you kinda have to, but that is the path.
yeah,
You do the short-term financing, you improve the property, and then you get to realize that improvement via a refinance. Even if it's a rate and term, you're stepping up your basis and you're improving the cash flow, et cetera, et cetera. We can get into taxes and all that stuff, but you're stepping up into that higher value, and
Yeah.
you're reaping those benefits from the work that you did, which is great. But if you do it on your own, I'm gonna finance this out of pocket, which again, if it's a couple thousand bucks, you probably need to do it because there's no step up in
Mhm.
value. But if you think there's gonna be that step up in value and you finance it out of pocket, unless you're willing to go refinance it or sell it, frankly, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, it didn't do anything for you, other than I mean, you do have a cleaner property, it's better, maybe you can improve your rents, but you're not getting your financing is not matching all of the value that you added, and financing can really highlight that, and you can use that
Yeah.
to leverage to your advantage,
For
and if
sure.
you don't wanna take advantage of it, that's fine, everybody can have their own strategy.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to highlight is if you want that, but you don't wanna have your financing match that strategy, you're leaving something on the table, and a lot of that can just be crossed by just having a conversation
Yeah.
with us and say, like, "Let's make sure your strategies match with your
Yeah.
financing."
I think the only other thing just to like kind of add in here that's new is, if there are investors listening and they are kind of more of the long-term rental investor, there is a new product out if they have, equity in a property, right? Let's say they're really afraid of that bridge loan and maybe they've got some properties that they've done some work on, but they're just sitting on that lower interest rate. There is the new product that I think investors have been asking for a long time that we've just started kind of, offering to some of our investors, which is the HELOC product. I know that could be another option for a person that's like, I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
I have already done this work. I didn't do that. I didn't take advantage of this, like, but I don't want to do a full refinance.
Yeah, I mean, I
Just to
think
try.
it can be an option. I think it has narrower utility
Sure.
than having the full plan from the start, which is do your
Yeah.
bridge financing with rehab, go do your proper refinance, and get your total cost of
Mhm.
financing with your note, the one note that you have,
Yeah.
to the best rate that makes sense for you. There is a new product, that we have access to, which is a HELOC for investment properties. It's been elusive for a number of years. Um, it's not for everybody. You have to qualify on your personal
Yeah.
income, very similar to conventional. But for that person that's just, man, I've got that 2.5%
Yeah.
rate, and it's still a lion's share of the equity in the property, but there's enough to look at.
Mhm.
It's certainly worth a conversation if, "Hey, I didn't perfectly plan this out, but I do have a pretty sweet interest rate." Like,
Yeah.
I get it. We have a couple of those too. That's when that starts becoming a meaningful conversation to where we say, "Hey, we're not super excited about making a 2.5% rate go away." Although, I'm telling you, like, as we look at some of these, "Hey, here's where your HELOC rate's at," versus if we do just a global refinance of the whole thing, when you get in, the blended rate actually, is higher when you have the HELOC and your lower rate,
Yeah.
than if you just do the straight up refinance. It's just a conversation because that also depends on what are you doing with it,
Yeah.
and that's
For sure.
different for you, for me, for
Yeah.
the next guy or gal.
I would
Um
just I would just say, like, if you're, listening and a renter, rental investor and kinda just wanna have a strategy session on what you're looking forward to or what you've got in your existing, portfolio of properties, like, being able to just sit down and have, us be able to share your options, whether it's a HELOC, "Oh, does that make sense?" or a refinance, or helping support you with the future deals so that
Yeah.
you can pause and have that look at a bridge load and some
Yeah.
of the work.
Another thing that's worth considering in this conversation is, hey, I have a shorter term horizon for this property for whatever reason. I don't know what that is, but some people have that where, hey, like I'm on like a 3 to 5 year horizon for this, but I do want to keep it for the take my cash flow. I think this is an appreciating area, and I just want to hold it for that period of time, and I'll sell it for profit then. Great, that's fine. A bridge loan is not the right solution for that scenario.
Right.
You do want your long-term financing. That's where we start having a conversation about, let's manipulate this, the prepayment penalty down. And actually in that scenario, if you're committed to that, like for real, this is like, I'm very confident that's what I'm doing. I would convert that to an interest-only loan as well.
Yeah.
There's no point in pretending like you're gonna get the principal pay down in the first 5 years of a 30-year amortized loan, so don't even try. Take that extra money, put it in your pocket, take the higher cash flow, shorten the prepay, and make your to the extent that it can be done, there is some tailoring you can do. Make your financing match your strategy, and having somebody that is, like, just willing to have the conversation can be really helpful because a lot of people, "All I've got is this 30-year debt, take it or leave it, sucker."
Mm.
Like, we've got, like, just what are you trying to do? "Hey, I've got a 3-year horizon for this one." We got a lot of investors, "Hey, I want 30-year debt on these. Hey, I got this unique scenario for this property on this street. I don't know why." They know, and it's our job to say, "Oh, interesting. Well, actually, sounds like a shorter prepay makes sense, and hey, dude, just take the IO." And some people are like, "Yes." And some people are scared of the IO on a long-term loan. Fine, that's fine. I think it matches the strategy, certainly, but if that's kinda weird,
Yeah, for sure.
because life changes, I get that, totally get it, but it's certainly worth having a conversation, again, of making your financing match your investing strategy, and just having somebody that knows what options are available can be really, really useful, 'cause if you get into the wrong loan or you miss one of those features, you're either stuck with it for 12 months on a little bit higher interest rate loan, like, that can be meaningful, or you're on a long-term loan with a prepayment penalty.
Yeah, and
Like,
options.
ask the questions, "Hey,
Okay.
how can I tailor this? What is available?"
Yeah.
And have somebody that can actually get into it and help you out. Bridge, long term, I don't know. It's
Mhm.
nice to have somebody in your corner that can actually, like, has done this once or twice and say, "Here's where it makes sense. Here's where it doesn't."
So again, if you're an investor listening, we're happy to help support you in the conversation of just what financing options are available and what's the best fit for an existing deal that you have or one that you're looking for in the future. We want to be there to support you. And so give us a call, take our time, and we'd be happy to help you navigate this. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to The Deal Vault. If you found value in today's episode, be sure to subscribe and share with another investor and leave us a review. If you're looking for help funding your next deal, you can always holler at us at loanbids.com. We'd love to help you on that deal. Until next time, keep building, keep investing.